I'm Carol. I'm a knitting Nanna against gas and greed, and I come from Gloucester, which is a small country town just 300 kilometres north of Sydney, and this is my story. Look, I was a normal, law-abiding suburban housewife until I moved to Gloucester, and I became an accidental activist. My husband and I came to Australia from England in 1977. We lived in Sydney, we got married, we raised 2 boys. When our younger son died in a car crash at the age of 16, we talked about leaving Sydney. And when our elder son left home some 2 years later, we bought a house on 2.5 acres just outside of Gloucester. After I retired in 2005, we moved there permanently. And that's when my life changed. At a meeting in the local hall, I was horrified to learn that a mining company planned to dig up the iconic Barrington Tops National Park for rubies. I became secretary of the Save Barrington Tops group. We held information sessions, lobbied politicians, wrote letters, spoke at council meetings. So we did all that, we wrote all the letters, we talked to everybody, and we were instrumental in the mining being refused permission to go ahead. And somehow, in amongst all that, I fitted in trips down to Sydney for surgery and radiation treatment for breast cancer. So our valley then faced an onslaught from the fossil fuel industry. 2 boutique mines that were supposed to close after 10 years sought extensions. A new coal mine was proposed less than 2 kilometres from the town centre, and AGL proposed a coal seam gas field with over 300 gas wells less than 6 kilometres from town. In late 2011, AGL started exploration. A group of local people blockaded the site for just over 3 weeks, demanding an independent study of groundwater hydrology before drilling be allowed. And AGL withdrew. Yay. But in 2014 they returned and they started fracking test wells. Now, if you may not know, but fracking is a technique used to extract gas by drilling a well and injecting high-pressure fluid, including highly toxic chemicals, into underground rock formations to create fractures and release the gas. It uses vast amounts of water and leaves large quantities of contaminated water, which has to be stored and disposed of. Both the fracking process and the contaminated water pose long-term pollution risks to aquifers and adjacent water sources. Gas escaping from the wells poses a major health issue to people living nearby and to the environment. Enter the knitting Nannas. Back in 2012, in the Northern Rivers area of New South Wales, 2 women joined a group concerned about McGasco's plans for coal seam gas in their area. Unimpressed with being told they could organise the teas, they decided to do their own thing and keep an eye on what McGasco was up to. They needed a cover. So they took a thermos and their knitting to make it look as if they were having a picnic. Who would have thought that 2 feisty women in their late 50s, sitting in a field with a thermos and knitting, would grow into a movement like the knitting Nannas? Knit one, purl one. Before you know it, you've got over 30 loops in Australia with associates in the UK and America. No hierarchy, just a disorganisation of like-minded, caring women armed with their knitting needles and the Nanifesto. Determined to save the environment for future generations, keep politicians honest, raise awareness, inform and educate the general public. The downstream Nannas from Taree, concerned about their water, had been holding knit-ins outside AGL's Gloucester office. And they joined with us when local groups organised a vigil which ran for over a year, during which time the Gloucester Loop was formed. When the fracking began, there was initial lock-on which lasted for over 28 hours, with protesters chaining themselves to the gates to the mining site, blocking access. It was followed by a series of individual lock-ons. We would be there to welcome Halliburton, the frackers, at 6 a.m, also known as breakfast with the police. Sometimes there were more police than protesters. While it was serious, we made it fun by organising various activities, including a Melbourne Cup Day complete with horses. We held a walk of shame when, to prevent us from parking and hoping we'd stop going, the police installed no stopping signs all the way down a road that went nowhere. This morphed into monthly town walks. One month, we transformed the town centre and AGL's gates into a field of knitted sunflowers, like the and the sunflowers symbolised happiness and healing. And we were part of an event called The Ground Beneath Our Hearts, which was a worldwide event for healing of mining-affected areas. I've got some pictures if anybody'd like to see them later. We now give out sunflower badges. You might have noticed a few people were wearing them, as a conversation starter. We were joined for many of these activities by Nannas from other loops. Some of them are actually here tonight, who often stayed at the protest camp that had been set up. When the test drilling ended, the Gloucester Nannas held knit-ins outside AGL's offices, where we sat with our thermoses and knitting, engaged and informed passers-by, and generally let AGL know we weren't going away until they did. Our town was divided, and we often had abuse yelled at us, and even had cars driven at us. Eventually, we moved to the meeting place in the town centre, where we still, to this day, hold regular knit-ins, and we still get yelled at. In February 2016, 2 years after they started fracking, AGL announced they were leaving Gloucester. Since becoming a knitting Nanna, I've done things and I've been to places I would never have dreamt of them. Among them, I've dressed, as mentioned, public rallies in Sydney, Newcastle and the Hunter Valley. I've co-presented at an international symposium organised by Newcastle Uni, at an academic conference in Adelaide. I'm named as co-author of a book which is about to be published by the University of California. I reckon that's not bad for someone whose academic achievements the equivalent to HSC and the secretarial course at take. I've visited the coal seam gas fields of Queensland, and I've seen firsthand the disastrous effects on the people living there and on the environment. I've also seen the damage that Santos has already caused in their proposed Narrabri coal seam gas project in the Pilliga, which poses a threat to the Great Artesian Basin and to our food bowl. I've been part of a group walking to the tip of Cape York in far north Queensland, which also included attending the Laura Aboriginal Dance Festival. I've participated in numerous protest actions and rallies in Sydney, Newcastle and at Parliament House in Canberra, and I've provided Nanna care at many rising tide blockades and other events. While I personally have never been arrested, although I have to say I was fined for an offence I didn't commit, I've always supported those who've locked on by sitting with them and attended numerous court appearances. I've been escorted from the front line in Gloucester and from Parliament House in Canberra. And I was part of a group ejected from the public gallery of the New South Wales Parliament. Me, who once upon a time wouldn't say boo to a booze. And I've got the photographs here to prove it. Now, things don't happen overnight. Activism can be hard, tiring, and emotional. And you want to give up, but you know you always have the support of the Nannas around you. Nanna hugs, a speciality. So you persevere. It took over 16 years to stop coal and gas mining in Gloucester, and here, more than 15 years on, the fight continues to stop Santos' toxic Narrabri coal seam gas project. Now, in my 80th year, some 20 years after I first became involved, I'm still fighting for the environment, although now I need to take my walking stick, and I like to have a chair too. Why do I persevere? Well, because climate change is real. Mining is a major contributory factor, and I want to do everything that I can to ensure that our children, your children's children, can have a future. Being a knitting Nanna has brought me much joy. I've met some amazing people and made some wonderful friends. The person I am now is inextricably intertwined with being a Nanna, and has given me the courage to stand up for what I believe in. I could talk for hours about the Nannas and their shenanigans, but instead I'll leave you with two thoughts. If you truly believe in something, fight for it. Always remember, a woman's place is in the revolution. Age is no barrier. There is always some way in which you can contribute. And if you'd like more information about the Nannas, come and see me afterwards. Or there's a few Nannas around over there. You don't have to be a Nanna. You don't have to knit. You just have to care. I'd like to thank my husband and my son for always supporting me and for being here tonight. Thank you to Generation Women for inviting me to tell my story, and to all of you for listening. Are we ready, Nannas? Viva la Revolution!